Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jingwen from Clemson University. Today, I will introduce our new work, SKILLPoV, which is about accessible and effective privacy notice for Amazon Alexa skills. Nowadays, apps are bringing many convenient features to users. Meanwhile, concerns about privacy risks are risen because apps may collect users' data. However, most users are not clear about these data collections. Under this condition, it's important to disclose privacy to users to help build user trust. Moreover, privacy disclosure is legal requirement. Some regulations and laws, such as GDPR and the CCPA, require businesses must have privacy disclosure. Failing to provide proper privacy disclosure may result in significant privacy fines. So most companies comply with regulations by providing privacy policies. However, there are several limitations of privacy policies, especially for voice applications. On the Amazon platform, voice applications are called skills, which are similar to apps on your phone. Amazon requires each skills must have a privacy policy. However, users cannot access the privacy policy through the voice interaction with Alexa. Instead, to read the privacy policy, users must open Amazon Alexa app on mobile phone, and then find a section named Skill and Games. After that, users need to type skill name and search for it. After entering the detail page, users need to scroll down and find the developer privacy policy. Finally, users can click and read the privacy policy. However, we all know privacy policies are often long and very difficult to understand. To confirm this, we conducted a user study, and the result showed over 86% of users struggled with reading skills privacy policies. To address these issues, we proposed the concept of privacy notice over voice, an accessible and inclusive mechanism to make users aware of the data practices of Alexa skill through the conversation interface. To make PNOV practical, we designed and developed the tool named SKILLPoV for developer to automatically generate and integrate privacy notice into the skill code. We designed this tool for developer because skill code is black box and only developers have access to modify the skills code. So what is privacy notice over voice? Imagine this when you invoke a skill. Instead of searching privacy policy on the mobile phone, Alexa speaks the key points directly, which is short and easy to understand. And after listening, users can immediately choose to opt in and opt out. For example, when users open a skill called Sound Pop, the users might hear, "Welcome, this skill will collect your port code. Would you like to continue? Please say yes to continue or no to exit." In our user study, over 90% of users preferred our approach over traditional privacy policies. What does SKILLPoV do? SKILLPoV first collects skill code from GitHub and analyzes data practices from skill code. Then it generates privacy notice based on the data practice, and finally integrate privacy notice into skill code. First, we need to know data collection in Alexa skills. The first step is data collection via permission request. When user enable a skill, it explicitly requests your permission, such as device address, phone name. The second type is data collection during the conversation. It does not explicitly state, but is instead embedded within the conversation. For example, the users may ask, "What is your name?" to collect the user's name. Now let's explore how we analyze these data practices. We used a mixed method combining web crawler, regular expression, NLP-based model, and large language models. As a result, we crawled over 1,400 open source skills from GitHub. Among them, 143 skills have data collection, and only 50 of them provide accessible privacy policies. During our user study, we also find some users were interested in other data practices, such as data sharing and data storage. So we further analyzed and detected 44 skills have such behavior. After obtaining the data practices, we use large language model to generate privacy notice. By designing effective structure-based prompting, we successfully generate 143 privacy notices. The next step is to insert generated privacy notice into skill code. Before that, we need to understand the skill code of Alexa skill. Skill code consists of front-end code and back-end code. Front-end code is made up of intents, and each intent has several sample utterances, representing probably spoken phrases of users. And for each intent in the front-end code, there is a corresponding back-end handler, which processes users' input and generates responses. For example, if user asked, "What is your name?" and replied the answer Bob, the front-end capture username intent will capture the answer Bob and send it to the back-end code. And the back-end capture username handler will process this data and respond with, "Thanks, Bob. What is your phone number?" Since the Alexa skill follow this code structure, we carefully modify both front-end code and back-end code. Specifically, we create a new launch request handler, which asks users which data practice they want to learn about, and we remove the original launch request handler temporarily. For each data practices, we create new intent and corresponding intent handlers, including data collection, data usage, and data retention. If users don't want to learn about data practices and decide to enter skill after listening the data practices, we modify the old launch request handler, renaming it to enter skill intent handler. We also add two sample utterances, "I don't want to know" and "yes," into the front-end and enter skill intent. To handle the situation where users want to exit, we add no exit intent and no exit intent handler. These 6 new intent and handlers are inserted at the very beginning of the skill code. To accommodate users who want to check data practice later, we create data practice intent and intent handler. Users can ask skill anytime by saying, "Tell me data practice," and the skill will play the privacy notice. And they can respond previous questions to return to the conversation flow. Next, I will walk you through a real example. The left side is original skill. When user enter the skill, they will ask for the name, phone number, and the start date. The right side is updated skill with privacy notice over voice. At the beginning, the skill inform users about data practices and ask users which data practices they want to learn about. If users select data collection, the skill will inform user what data is collected and ask users whether they want to continue or exit. If users skip the data practices at the beginning, they can ask skills anytime by saying, "Tell me data practices." After implementing the skill POV, we conducted comprehensive evaluations. In terms of functionality, we achieved 100%, ensuring that privacy notices were generated and integrated into the skill code. This evaluation was conducted through manual checks by our research group members and verified by 70 developers. We also achieved a high reliability, around 96%. Reliability means whether the privacy notice content generated by SKILLPoV using our designed prompt and always follow the expected sentence pattern. We also compare the generated privacy notices with the privacy policies and the privacy policies generated from the online generators. We achieved 91% accuracy and 96% completeness. So to summarize, we proposed the privacy notice over voice, an accessible and inclusive mechanism to make users aware of data practices of Alexa skills through the conversational interface. And we conducted a user study, and we gained new insights from the user study about users' expectations and users' preference of our privacy notice. And building on this, we developed a SKILLPoV, a tool for developers to analyze data practices, generate privacy notices, and integrate privacy notices into the skill code. And our evaluation proves that the SKILLPoV's effectiveness by achieving 91% accuracy and 96% of completeness. Okay, thank you for your time. Feel free to scan the code for our source code and the user study results.
Great, thank you.
Hello, excuse me, Elijah Bauma-Sims from Carnegie Mellon University. My question is about the user study portion. I understand that's like a small part of the overall contribution, and I appreciate the effort to make accessible tools. With that said, in the paper you talk about how you recruited Mechanical Turk workers to evaluate the both accessibility and usability based on a video. I'm curious if there's any plans to look at testing this with a population that might be able to comment on the accessibility more directly, like people with visual impairments.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat the last part?
Oh, yeah. So my main question is basically, is there any plan to evaluate the tool with a population that could maybe speak more directly to the accessibility, like people with visual impairments or people who are blind?
Yes, we plan release. We already published our code on GitHub, and all developers can use it and integrate the privacy notice into the code. And then, if any users want to use their developer skills, they can also listen our privacy notices, so that the users can evaluate our tool's effectiveness and accessibility.
So you're not considering this as part of future work for you? You're going to leave this to other people?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shantari from George Mason University. Excellent talk, and it's a really important topic, especially with recently Apple went through a lawsuit where basically Siri was getting triggered by, apart from the action words, by more words and so on. So there was a privacy breach, right? So I think this can be a very valuable addition to your work. Just wanted to see your perspective on how do you think, because I feel like your tool or solution is based on the privacy policies, right? What happens if the privacy policy is not compliant with the actual data practices of these interfaces?
Our data practice is analyzed from the skill code. It's not from the privacy policies.
So if I understand correctly, it is actually going to determine when there is a privacy breach, despite what the policy says?
Can you repeat again?
So will it determine when there is a privacy breach, despite what the policy says?
Maybe we can take this offline and then further clarifications.
Of course, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, please join me in thanking the speaker again.